Good afternoon, everybody. It is great to have you on the first Making Sense Project webinar of 2020. Welcome, and glad that you're able to join us here this afternoon. My name is Hilary Hunt. I serve as director of the Making Sense Project, and I just want to do a quick introduction, review what we're planning to cover in today's webinar. We're going to talk about the Making Sense Project for just a minute, then I'm going to turn things over to Lisa Bender to introduce you to Take Charge Today's financial education curriculum and program. We'll review some upcoming webinar opportunities as well as a new book study that we're going to be launching here shortly. And then I will provide you with information for the evaluation and Act 48. We've got a lot to cover in the next 60 minutes or so. So thank you so much for joining us. I know you guys have lots of opportunities or things you can be doing, and I'm glad that you have chosen to spend this afternoon with us. So for those of you who may not be familiar with the Making Sense Project, it is a partnership between the Pennsylvania Department of Education and Penn State University. I'd like to take a chance to thank our new project partner at Penn State, Dr. Kevin Curry. Many of you are familiar with Kathy Bowen, who retired last year, and Kevin has jumped in and taken this project on, has been a great partner to work with, and we're looking forward to an ongoing collaboration. As you may know, the Making Sense Project is part of an overall financial education program. So these webinars are just one component of that, but certainly one that we enjoy doing as often as we can to bring these great in online professional development opportunities straight to you wherever it is that you may be. The webinars overall, we try and do a couple of different things. On some of them, we try and enhance your content knowledge. In others, we focus on highlighting financial literacy resources. And in others, we're trying to share professional information. Today's webinar definitely focuses in there at the middle section of this, highlighting financial literacy resources. We're doing what we like to call a curriculum deep dive on this session. Some of you have joined ours in the past know that sometimes we'll do one session on one program. That's what we're doing today. Other times we do like a 6 and 60 format where we cover 6 different resources in 60 minutes. But this is going to be one of those deep dives where you'll just get lots of information about one program that you'll hopefully then spend some time to further explore and dive into on your own as you are able. We're going to make use of the chat area today. So if you are familiar with Zoom, that typically for participants ends up living as an option down in the bottom of your screen. I'd invite you to find the chat area now and provide a quick introduction. So where you're from, what you teach, grade level, subject area. As long as I've been working here in Pennsylvania, 20-some years, I don't have all 500 school districts memorized by their location. So sometimes if you provide a school district name, it would help me immensely if you could also add to that a county, or if you work in a private school or elsewhere, the diocese and the county is helpful as well. And then what is it that you do related to financial education? Do you teach a dedicated personal finance course? Do you have a unit? Are you just passionate about it or interested in learning more? What have you? So take a minute, use that question or the chat area. When you do, you're going to have an option to send it to all panelists or all panelists and attendees. I like it if you select panelists and attendees. That way everybody that's on the line knows who else is here. Certainly though, if you have a private question that you want to send to us just as panelists or comments that you don't want seen by the whole group, feel free to narrow that down just to the panelists. As we go through the presentation and as I turn things over to Lisa, I'll be keeping an eye on this, on that chat area, and posing any questions that might come up to her either as we go or when we have dedicated time at the end for Q&A. So thanks again, just brief introduction, who you are, where you're from, what you teach. We would love to chat with you over there and do a little multitasking, which I'm sure as educators all of you are well versed in. So with that, I want to hand things over to Lisa and welcome Lisa Bender to our webinar. Lisa, are you there?
I am here.
All right, great. So I am sending controls over to you. All right, with that, Lisa, I'm going to mute myself and turn these folks over to you. So thanks so much.
Very good. Hi, everybody. It's great to be with you today. I am excited that we get to work with teachers in Pennsylvania, my next door geographic neighbor, since I'm coming to you from Maryland. And I've known Hilary for a while, and it's just, we keep crossing paths, so it's exciting that we can bring this webinar to you for a little bit of a deep dive in a free resource. I work for Take Charge Today, based out of the University of Arizona, but I was a classroom teacher for 30 years in Maryland and a business education teacher. And the last 10 years, my teaching was focused mainly on financial education. I used the Take Charge Today curriculum, and when I retired as a classroom teacher, I knew that I didn't want to leave my passion about financial literacy and working with teachers and or students behind. So I continue my role in financial literacy and being an advocate and working with people like Kevin and Hilary and others around the country. So just a real quick look at some Take Charge Today staff members. You'll see Tiffany is our project manager, and she's based in Tucson. We have 3 National Master Educator team members. You can see that they're from different parts of the country, and they are helping to update curriculum and train teachers at different times and at different conferences around the country so that we can help anyone who's interested in financial education to learn about our free resources. And that's our goal today. We want to bring you awareness of Take Charge Today's free lessons for both middle school and high school. There will be a little bit of time later on to make a new teacher account if you're not currently a user of Take Charge Today. But I wanted to first start out with showing you some things about an anatomy of a typical lesson that you would find available to teachers online through the Take Charge Today website, and then take you into a specific lesson to break down some different areas that the lessons and the pages for the teacher guide can help you and identify where you want to pull out some different pieces of information. As Hilary said, if you have a question, you can put it in the chat box. And if she sees one that's important, she said she would certainly pause and let me try to answer a question for you. I will be on at the end helping to answer any questions, and also Tiffany and I will be able to approve new accounts in real time as anyone on the line joining us today is making them. So the Take Charge Today website looks like this, minus the magnifying glass there, but this is the general page that you would come to if you were to type in our URL address at takechargetoday.arizona.edu. And as you can see there, it's an award-winning program designed by educators for educators. So the teacher voice is very much alive and an important part of what the lessons that have been written and shared through teachers all across the country. We have teachers in all 50 states using this curriculum, and we have students in all 50 states, of course, learning through the teachers using our curriculum. So like I said, for anyone who does not have an existing account, if you want to just watch as I guide you through some things about the Take Charge Today free resource online, and then I'll be around at the end, and Tiffany out in Tucson is going to help me approve accounts so that we can get you approved right away and you can see and access our lessons. Every single lesson that we have from Take Charge Today is free, and it's downloadable for the teacher. Now, this is not a resource that you would have your students logging into the Take Charge Today website. This is a resource for teachers with more than 100 lesson plans for the high school grades and more than 75 lesson plans for middle grades. The teacher has access to them. You can download them. You can go online and pull them up. We have bookmarks so that you can keep lessons that you typically use, but you would not have your students log onto this website to get information like you might have them do with some other different vendors that are out there. In order to download a lesson plan, you do need a free teacher account, and you would need to log in to using a username and password that you establish. And then you can download or access answer keys, lesson plans, PowerPoints, all of the elements that you need to teach some of the content that we provide through Take Charge Today. We do ask that when a teacher downloads things, they do not share those downloads on their teacher webpage or a wiki page that they might have. We want to make sure that students are not accessing answer keys and other things. So we have ways for you to push out information to your students. And we also have some interactive student workbooks that you can use if you are fortunate enough to be able to either get your students in your class to a computer lab, or if you have a one-to-one type of arrangement in your school. So at the top, some different tabs for our menu of what we can provide you from this resource and from our website. For instance, if you were to need some standards for writing up a grant or putting down objectives in your plan book, teacher plan book, or other things, we have standard alignment and curricular crosswalks with such organizations as National Jumpstart, Council for Economic Education, National Business Education Association, Family and Consumer Science. So we have English language, the ELA standards. So there's many different ways that if you need some of those type of information, we do offer that. We also offer some professional development, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And if you need to contact us, we have a way up in the right-hand corner to click on and get our phone number and email address, mailing address, etc. With our Take Charge Today curriculum, we break it down into 2 levels. We have content lessons available in the introductory level for grades 7 through 9, and we have advanced level in grades 10 through 12. We cover many of the same topics, just at different engagement levels, different reading levels, and things like that. In addition to those 175 plus lessons available from content, we also have some supplemental lessons with especially our active learning tools, which is one of the most popularly downloaded parts of our curriculum. And we also have some ideas for service learning, some visual aids, and others. We do want you to know every lesson plan is free. You can download it anytime. You can keep downloading it at any time. We're available 24/7. And once you have a user account, you can access our lessons, our answer keys, our PowerPoints, and a whole lot more. We've worked with researchers to come up with 4 different main curriculum themes that weave themselves through all of our Take Charge Today lessons. And these are things that help to be reinforced by what we're asking the students to do. And you can see them there on the screen. And this is a graphic example of what our curriculum strands will look like. We have multiple lessons in each of these units of study. So for instance, under managing your money, we might have a dozen lessons for things like banking and budgeting and other things, and earning with career lessons. I believe, have 16 different lessons under or more under that particular unit of study. And one that's a little bit unique to Take Charge Today that we don't see that often, actually two, but we don't see that often in other curricula, is a unit on receiving, which would be focused on receiving from help when you need it, financial help from family, friends, the government. And we also have a unit of study on the distribution of wealth, talking about giving, planned giving, the role of working with a financial advisor, estate planning, and just to expose students to those type of ideas about financial literacy from a whole life cycle of financial education. In each of our lessons, there are 5 elements. We have a vocabulary section. Sometimes that vocabulary has extensive number of words to introduce to students, and other times, let's say with the savings unit, it would only have a few. But with every vocational activity, vocabulary activity that we have, we give you some options on different ways to approach introducing these new terms to students. We also give you a hook or lots of different ways to pique the student's interest at the beginning of content that will be taught to them. The recommended facilitation is, how do the students best understand all of the different nuances about a particular topic? And in order to do that, we provide a PowerPoint that's written with talking points in the teacher guide and teacher lesson plan so that you could carry this out. We provide typically a note-taking guide so that you can approach the content facilitation in a whole classroom teaching manner, or you can do it individually and share the PowerPoint or the information sheet with students, and they can take notes on their own, and then you could have them come back and review as a class. We try to give you lots of options for how to deliver the different lessons in the best way that you feel works for your classroom. Another element of all the Take Charge Today lessons are conclusion options. We have some different activities and ways to think about what are the important takeaways that you just learned about and that you'd want to remember. And then we have assessment options, project-based and traditional multiple choice testing opportunities as well. The Take Charge Today curriculum offers a pre and post test. If you're fortunate enough that you are teaching an entire course on financial literacy and financial ed. But this content in our curriculum is also designed that you can make it your own, and you can dip in and pull out lessons that you would want to use and that you feel important are to your students and your objectives for what that you want them to know about financial literacy. We have recommended plans for 2-week facilitation, semester facilitation, whole course facilitation. So it's really up to you to just acquaint yourself with what lessons we have and then choose which option and that fits best for your needs in your classroom. So I threw this in for asking if any of the people online this afternoon have ever used the Take Charge Today curriculum before. And if you wouldn't mind putting in a yes or no in the chat box, we'd really appreciate it. That gives us a feel for whether we're talking to a brand new audience of users or some of you perhaps have used us before. So we appreciate you taking the time to share your information with us.
Lisa, it looks like we have a lot of folks for whom this is brand new. I think I've only seen one yes so far. So, two, there's a second one.
Okay.
So yeah,
well,
it looks
exciting.
like we've got a lot of brand new folks that are unfamiliar with it. So this is great.
Okay. Absolutely.
We're getting ready to dive in.
Yeah, that's what comes next. All right. So let's just go ahead and see how to break down and do a deep dive of what we offer you. I'm going to be looking at one lesson out of one unit, and from our Managing Your Money unit, a banking lesson, because if you do a little bit of research, you'll find that 10 million or more of people in the US are unbanked. Now, in a Take Charge Today lesson with the 5 different elements, the vocabulary, the hook, the content facilitation, the conclusion options, and the assessments, you can see here that we have tried to give you lots of different options under each of these 5 elements. So you can kind of play around and see what you would feel comfortable with in conducting a lesson. I know one of my favorites was a simple auction that I used to do at the very front end of a course that I would teach, and it was called a values auction. And when I read it on paper, I thought, oh, I don't know if I can pull this off. I'm not an auctioneer, but it was so much fun and so engaging and a great way to kind of break the ice with new students. So because Take Charge Today's curriculum is written by teachers for teachers, we are trying to find ways that have been successful in our own classrooms to share with all of you. And we test all of the different lessons before we release them to the public. So once you have a Take Charge Today account, you will see a page that looks similar to what you see here on the right. And we have a banner that's scrolling and giving you some information. We have upcoming events and different things we'll be doing. We have some new and updated resources on the left side. But anytime that you would want to find a particular lesson, you could just simply look for the tab, and you see it there with a magnifying glass. It says Search Free Lesson Plans. Now, if you're a return user and you already know that you want to use a lesson called The Basics of Credit because you've used it before, you could type it up in the search window and it would come up. But if you're just pretty new and you want to just look for some lessons and get some ideas, just click on Search Free Lessons and you can browse the curriculum in the themed units. This is what you would see once you find a lesson in the themed unit that you want to investigate and then prepare to teach your students. Some things to notice. You'll see in the round circles, we have grade levels. We have an estimated time of how much it might be to complete a full lesson. We also will have some download links for materials. And in the download lesson materials, these are all live links that you would be able to download yourself. And you can see we have everything from the answer keys to the teacher lesson plan sheets and the PowerPoints and the interactive student workbooks. Other lesson material links, unit test banks. We have unit bank test and individualized tests. We also have, at the bottom, you can look at your own download history to see if you've ever used that before. So there's lots of good things that are just on this early page before you get into the heart of a lesson. This is what the front page of a lesson looks like. As you can see up top, again, recommended levels, also how long it would take to teach this particular lesson. And we do give attribution and credit to teachers from across the country who have helped us write these lessons. There's the links to the national standards in the middle third of that first page, and also specific objectives if you need a quick go-to for your plan book, for a student learning objective that you need to meet with your principal, whatever type of things you might need, there's a section on that first page for teacher lesson plan objectives. And on the bottom third of the page, we have materials provided in the lesson. You can see there's vocabulary list. There's even a research activity if you want them to do a further deep dive. So this is just a list of what's going to happen and what's type of materials this specific lesson will reveal to you. In the center, you see that we have the PowerPoint, and we also have unit, multiple choice test, and answer key. And then if you choose to do some of the more interactive activities, you might need some separate resources, and you can see there on the right, like we make a list. You'd need some crayons with this, or you'd need computer access to do some of the different activities in this lesson. So we try to give you a heads up, let's say. On the second page of a Take Charge Today lesson, we break it down into external resources. And these are being updated as we find new and better resources out there. But for this particular lesson that I'll be taking you through, you can see that we have some links to written articles that you could have students read, or also videos that you could show your students as well. And you can see the resources, some different resources as part of an active learning tool that you could look up if you wanted to also add that to our lesson. This is the lesson I want to take you through just briefly. And this is the image that you see right here is the title slide to the Introduction to Depository Institutions that you would teach a high school student level class. So the vocabulary activity that we suggest would be an activity called Alike But Different. It would be found in that lesson plan, and it is designed to get students to think about, why would I even go to a bank anyway? Why would I want to be a member of a credit union? So we cover credit unions and commercial banks in this lesson. And we offer lots of different ways and ideas that you could have discussions or short activities with the students. Like if you have students with social media. You could have them tweet about something they learned about banking. Now, a great anticipatory set option is a set of videos from the Atlanta Federal Reserve Bank that we suggest that you use as the hook, or one of the hook options, in the teaching about banking. And we give you the website that you can access the videos online. And this is actually a set of videos that walks through 3 high school students' lives as they and their families struggled with the Hurricane Katrina back in, I believe, 2005. It's a very well done set of videos from the Atlanta Federal Reserve Bank. They're very short, they're less than 10 minutes, and you get introduced to the 3 different teenagers that their families had to endure that, and how they dealt with banking needs and credit needs and other things. So that's a great way to pull students in to think about banking. In the recommended facilitation of the content, you have different choices. We can give you the PowerPoint if you want to use that for students to gain information, or you can use a written information sheet. The PowerPoint and the information sheet mirror each other with the same information. So if you don't want to PowerPoint your students to death, as they say, you could, on a different lesson plan, go ahead and hand out the information sheet. If you have students in class that would not be struggling readers, because the information sheets, while they have some images on them, they're very text heavy, whereas the PowerPoint and its information is less text heavy. And you can deliver the content whatever way works best for you. You could do it in whole classroom delivery method, where you walk them through the PowerPoint or information sheet. You can set it up electronically and disperse it out to each student, the PowerPoint or the information sheet, and that's done through the student workbook. You could put students in small groups or pairs and have them complete their note-taking guides while they're looking at the information. So it's totally up to you. You can mix it up and make it the best way that works for you and your students. We do try to use graphics and ways to break up the information on the note-taking guide for students, and we pose questions so that they know what to look for from a particular slide or the information sheet. These note-taking guides, again, can be accessed through the student workbook if you have students able to use computers to interact with these worksheets through PDFs. In this lesson, and in several of the Take Charge Today lessons, we try to bring it down to the level of students who can relate to a case study, let's say, in their own lives. And in this case, we have Josie, who's getting ready to go off to college. And in this introductory to depository institutions, she's got to make a choice about whether she's going to stick with her bank at home, or is she going to get a new banking relationship close to the university she's going to be attending, which is 3 hours from her home. And there's several different steps along the way that ask you to help Josie make some of these important decisions. We talked about conclusion options, and this is where you would take the time to review what you've just taught them through content of the financial literacy topic. So a fun game that we have completely created for you, and it's available from our website. It's just like the game show Family Feud. And we have lots of different lessons. We have the actual game set up with sound and the boxes that turn over and reveal answers. So that's a really fun game, review game to play with students that's already created for you. You would just need to look up the Family Feud game and become familiar with how you would carry it out with your students. We also try to give, some different educational technology activities to allow students to kind of do some things that are a little bit more creative. And we have some technology applications that you can use to get students. This is one actually created by a student, and we suggest a particular program or website that they can use to create some billboards digitally about a topic that they just use. So this student was creating a billboard for mobile banking at Nationwide Bank. Assessments, we have reinforcement worksheets that could include different ways to assess their knowledge and comprehension of the topic. We also offer multiple choice tests. I know as a teacher, when my district was going to some online grade book things, I was able to download multiple choice tests, and the students could actually take them online, and then it would be graded right away. So depending on the different ways that your district can allow you to use technology, the Take Charge Today curriculum is very helpful to allowing you to use ways to make it easier for students to take tests, get worksheets and answer keys, not answer keys, but worksheets and other things. Here's an example of a short checking account simulation that allows students to give them a little bit of practice in knowing how to balance a checkbook, to write down when they have ATM withdrawals or mobile transactions. And this could be done online, or you could download it and print it out on paper if you wanted to do it that way for your students. But that's available through our website as well. Now, one thing we've been working over the past year doing with our curriculum is we're fortunate to take on a partnership with Intuit Education. And we've taken some of our existing lessons from the Take Charge Today website and curriculum, and we've created some hands-on simulations using Intuit's popular apps, Mint and then TurboTax. And the simulations that we've written jointly with the team from Intuit Education, you may get free access to these simulations, which are designed to be used in a one-period classroom, 45 to 60 minutes. It's not like a 10-week simulation or anything like that, but it does give students a chance to practice using some of the most popular programs and applications that adults in their real life are using as well. And that's all available through our Take Charge Today website. One of the exciting things we want you to know is that we will be coming back to teachers in Pennsylvania on the 24th of February and bringing to you a webinar that is designed specifically to help you think through a couple lessons about how to teach taxes and the practice of paying your income taxes using Take Charge Today's lessons, and then some of the simulations using TurboTax from Intuit. And we would love to have all of you join us back in February at the same time, 3 and 7 p.m. So save that date, February 24th, if you want to become familiar with how to use these new simulations that we're offering as our partnership with Intuit. And that's a great lesson to share with your students, especially this time of year. So before we turn you loose to create some new accounts, I just wanted to take a minute to let you know that Take Charge Today, we do offer professional development, just like you're getting today, through working with Hilary and Making Sense Pennsylvania. We do have some a library of videos that can help you learn how to maybe carry out a particular activity in your class. And there are tabs for professional development on our homepage on the website. And you can click there and you can see videos of some different financial experts that we've had, and also some lesson plan activities that teachers have been kind enough to allow us to videotape them, and you can see how to carry that out. For instance, let's see. I know there's an exciting video that is done by one of our master educators, Robin, out in Arizona, and she has a video on there, how to teach time value of money using jelly beans with a class of students. So these are short videos, maybe 5 or 6 minutes long, and just show a teacher explaining how to carry out one of those many activities in their classroom. Our active learning tools, we have lessons tied to board games. We have different fun ways to reinforce the content through games, through other activities, QR code scavenger hunts, for instance, true-false chairs, competition. We have some lesson plans that are tied to popular movies about money. We have some lists that you could use, such as a list of 100 or more songs on how to integrate music and songs about money. If you wanted to, let's say you're teaching about saving and you wanted to do the song Save It for a Rainy Day. And we even have a Spotify account that you can follow. And we have a list of songs about music that are tied to the 7 different units of study we have. So we break it down. So you can just follow along our playlists on Spotify. And then we also encourage you to follow us on social media. If you're on Facebook, if you're on Twitter, and I have those hashtags and different things I'll show you in a minute, but we try to keep teachers who use our curriculum abreast of different trending stories that are happening in financial literacy and financial education. We put links on there to current articles that we know tie in well to some of our lessons. And we're just posting those on kind of a regular basis. And if you follow us on Twitter or Facebook, you'll get some of those informational posts that are sent your way. This is just a quick rundown of teachers that we've worked with over the years, and when they use our curriculum, they say these are some things that have really helped them in carrying out some of the different lessons that we have. For instance, we have some foldable activities that work really well if you have different colored cardstock paper. So when you're putting your supply list together at the beginning of a semester or a start of a school year. Some teachers take advantage of a tabletop laminator that you can buy anywhere between $25 and $50, and then some of the laminator sheets. And for some of the supplies that we use and include in some of our lesson plans, that's a great way to be able to save those for reuse down the road. At this point, I'm going to ask Hilary if she's seeing any particular questions before I give you some help in trying to put together your brand new user account.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Lisa. That was great. I'm going to allow for a few more minutes of Q&A to come in through the chat, but a couple of
Sure.
things for you. So first of all, I just wanted to comment. I love the active learning tools that are available. I know I've had the opportunity in the past to be an in-person PD with folks from Take Charge Today, and I think one of the one with the balloons and the tape and all that sort of good stuff is always a fantastic, engaging activity, along with a number of the others that I really love, like the vocabulary review, Jenga, and some of those. So I think, if educators on with us right now, if nothing else, you might not think that you need a bunch of the lessons or what have you, tiptoe over into the active learning tools, if nothing else, because it's a wealth of information. So one of the things that I was going to ask you about, so, you guys make all of your materials available. Sometimes I know I personally have like to have things, printed out in that binder, like you were talking about. That it is wonderful, but you guys update things and push out new lesson plans and resources on an ongoing basis, which is one of the things that I love about this program, is it doesn't sit idle. What's the best way, or how do teachers find out about when those materials become available and when those are released?
Sure, that's a great question. Well, for instance, let me give you this example. Last year, when our whole paying our income taxes structure was being changed for adults in the U.S., we had a existing lesson that incorporated the 1040 EZ, because that would be so popular with students who have part-time jobs in the summer, etc. We went ahead.
Bye-bye 1040 EZ, right?
Exactly.
All of our financial education materials are now out of date. Yep.
we were not only challenged in real life to get that straight, but also in our lessons on taxes. So we spent a good deal of time making sure that they were updated with the brand new rules and regulations and new forms and all of that. And we would share that information of that update through our social media sites. Also on our webpage, you could see a little section on the left that says new and updated, or news and updated. And anytime that we try to or want to share that we've updated a new lesson or an existing lesson, we would write it in that section. And also at various times of the year, for our user base, we reach out through a newsletter via email, announcing new things that are taking place with lessons from Take Charge. Or, for instance, the webinars that we were doing with TurboTax, like we're doing with you all, we pushed that out in an email to teachers here recently in January, announcing that we had some webinars available, and we've had a couple of those and had teachers in 25, I think, different states on board. So there's lots of different avenues that we push out information, and going to the website, following us online on Twitter or Facebook are good, and then we send emails to individual school email addresses that you share with us once you set up a new account.
Great. So if somebody is like me and likes to print things, or also like me and likes to download things so that I can, in place that I can access them easily, we shouldn't just let those sit and, not revisit them for, a long period of time. We should be checking
Right.
and
Exactly.
stuff, because you guys are doing all that hard work behind the scenes, so that, educators don't have to, to constantly stay abreast and make those changes. So that's awesome.
Mhm.
Another question. So some of our participants may be actively using, say, materials from another financial literacy provider. Can you talk to us a little bit about, does Take Charge Today need to be done standalone? Say somebody's using maybe curriculum from Next Gen Personal Finance, or from NIFI, or they have a textbook. How have you seen, as a classroom teacher, like, working these things together, coordinating? It's not a, only use Take Charge and nothing else, right?
Right. Right. I think a lot of teachers try to bundle, if it's okay with their district, several lessons from a few well-recognized providers, and you just mentioned several of them right there. Take Charge, NIFI, Next Gen. If a teacher is using an online course, like for students, like EverFi, you can still, maybe their course is very shortened and ours is much more elaborate. So yes, our lessons can be certainly the full focus of a curriculum. In fact, the state of North Carolina has chosen to use our curriculum solely as the one that would be tested at the end, high stakes test at the end of a course that they offer for financial literacy. We have right now 435 CTE teachers using our curriculum down there and impacting tens of thousands of students. But for a teacher who wants to, take a credit lesson and pull our basics of credit along with a credit card word of the day or question of the day from Next Gen, and a puzzle from EverFi or something like that. That can certainly be done, and I know I did that myself. And my district did not have money to buy new textbooks, and these free resources from a handful of the leaders in financial education, and I know Penn State University has some amazing resources as well. They all complement each other very much, I feel.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm going to say, for the next few minutes, we're going to take a look at how to set up the account, just real quickly on these slides that Lisa has. And then I'm going to go back to sharing my screen, just a preview of what we're going to do here next. And for those of you who already have accounts, because I know there's a number of folks on with us today that have used Take Charge Today, you guys can go ahead and move forward with doing the evaluation. But we do have a lot of new folks on, and one of the things that is great about Take Charge is that they keep the answer keys and everything else locked up, so that students can't access those. So in real time, as Lisa mentioned, she and Tiff are going to be approving your account access as you go in and register. So Lisa, why don't you go ahead and cover those real quick?
Sure. So if you're brand new to Take Charge and you want to take the time right now, very quickly, to make a new teacher user account, you would just go to takechargetoday.arizona.edu. And once you have that entered on your computer, you should come to our homepage, and you would select Create an Account, which is in the middle section there, and the green tab. And it will simply ask you, just like so many other online user accounts, what is your name, where do you work, what do you teach, and just a few questions. And you will set up your username and password and hit Submit. And Tiffany and I will be approving accounts requests as they come in. Once you have submitted, you'll want to look at your email to be able to verify that you are getting an account, a brand new account. And then you'll have access to everything we showed you today and much more actually too. So I will hang tight here, and I will in a second stop sharing my screen while people are creating those, so I can go in and help Tiffany approve accounts. And then I know Hilary has some things to share with you as we wrap up. I do want to let you know that your Making Sense PA is on Twitter, and that's a great account to follow. And you can also follow Take Charge on Twitter, and there's our Twitter handle. And I post a lot of things personally about financial literacy on my Lisa M. Bender account, and some popular hashtags. If you're looking for information about financial ed and financial literacy, there's many great things out there that people are sharing with those hashtags. And then you can follow us at Facebook. Just look up Take Charge Today on Facebook, and you'll be able to follow along with us there. So we really appreciate being with all of you today. And Hilary, I look forward to talking to your group this evening at 7, but I'll go ahead and let you take it away for the final pieces of information you want to share with them. Thanks, everybody, for attending. I hope you have a great week.
Thank you so much, Lisa. We appreciate you being with us. Everybody have a great week and hope to see you back again on another Making Sense webinar. Bye-bye.